What's going on, college football fans? Coming at you with another one. It is one half of the House Divided podcast. It's your man, your resident Michigan fan, Marcus, ready to discuss this week's up and coming game against USC. Going out to the West Coast, 7:30 kickoff, prime time game out in the Coliseum. Big time matchup against another, offensive powerhouse here early on in the season. Before we jump into it, make sure y'all like, share, subscribe as always. Trying to get this as big as we can get it. Saturdays, no other show that you should be gracing your eyeballs on, your sports watching eyeballs, and the big college football show at 11 with myself, Josh, Johnny, Maze, Madman, the Maniac. It's a good time, so make sure you tune into that. That's live at 11 on Saturdays. So to discuss this past Saturday's game against Wisconsin, I think there was some points left on the field for sure. You'd like to score more than 24 points when you put up 400 yards of offense. Positive things, we continue to get big gains in the running game, big plays by Justice Haynes. I think that the more and more he puts that on tape, the more and more teams are going to have to over leverage to stop it, right? And that's only a good thing. The more he breaks, the more that teams will have to be in awkward positions to try and stop the run. And that's only going to make things easier for Bryce to throw downfield. Um, another law firm game. Shout out to Jordan Marshall and Haynes for holding it down. They both had some good runs. Bryce is coming along. Drops still in an iffy thing a little bit, touch and kind of bringing the RPMs down. You asking Big Bren Bredesen uh to catch a third down pass, in the middle of traffic coming that hot. I understand he's kind of rolling out. He's kind of hard to slow down at that point, but that's also a tough catch to ask for a guy you don't ask to catch normally most of the time. So, things to work on, fine tune. All in all, it went about how I expected it to. They just didn't score as much. Another game where the defensive line showed out, defense in general showed out. Rob Moore is a dog. Jay Mangum, you might have to come up off that free safety spot player. I didn't think he was going to be looking this healthy that soon, but they do a good job rotating anyways. They'll all get in, but it is sure is good to have Rob Moore back in that secondary, man. It makes you feel a lot more confident about what's going on back there. Looking at this, I think obviously, just like most of our games so far, and for probably for the rest of the year, this is going to be one on the defensive side for Michigan. So we'll kind of start with that. I think the defensive line being as dominant as they've been early on in the season is going to be a positive for Michigan, not just in production, but is going to be positive because of how teams begin to scheme. I was watching the Wisconsin game this past Saturday, and I won't name any names, but the group chat got a little bit excited during that first opening drive for Wisconsin because they were kind of moving the ball. And I said to myself, the first 20 or so plays are usually drawn up, right? And they're usually the best things that you find on film from the other team. And so with that being the case, Michigan is going to get that even more because teams are afraid of the pressure that Michigan provides, right? They're going through games getting 5, 6, 7 sacks. So now teams are scheming up plays to get around that early and try to get early points. If you can stem the tide, right? If you can get through those first 20 plays or so without giving up touchdowns, I think that helps. And I mean, they even gave up one versus Wisconsin and it didn't end up killing them, right? But I think optimally, if you can get through those first 20 or so plays without giving up a score, or at least a touchdown, you're ahead of the curve. Because what's going to happen after that is now we're out of the I won't call it gadget or trick stuff, but we're out of the stuff that we knew was going to hit at least once on film, right? when it's time to adjust, when it's time to go to something else, when it's time to have a change up pitch, so or so you will. Um, that's kind of where you make your money as a coordinator. So that's going to be paramount for Michigan, because this is a high octane offense, and it is one that is, they're pretty balanced. They got a running game, they've got a passing game. The running backs are doing really well. They've got a running back. Now this name is escaping me right now, but one of the best in the country. And Jake Mayalva also is slinging that thing, man. He's putting it in the air. They're going to be a lot to handle. I think slowing them down will be the defensive pressure, and then also we've been looking pretty stout. Excuse me, if I do say so myself, on the outside with Zeke and Jair and using Jayden Sanders. We've gotten. I would say the last 2 or 3 games have looked better than the first two in that regard, and so that's a positive improvement. Kind of etching along here. Um, with their depth on the defensive line alone, they should be able to impose themselves on USC defensively. It will be kind of mixing and matching pressures versus dropping guys, because they run a lot of RPO. Reminiscent of the the Illinois game last year, and obviously them too. They had Miller Moss, obviously a guy who wasn't as athletic as the one they got right now, but still a lot of RPO game. You'll probably need to mix and match pressures just to kind of confuse the looks, and so that'll be something. That'll be an early chess match. Do we get caught in those pressures on early downs? Do we back out and end up giving up rush lanes because we're trying to stay back and disrupt that? So I do expect there to be a little bit of cat and mouse between Wink and Lincoln Riley early on, but ultimately I don't know, as long as they're not giving up touchdowns, as long as they're not giving up 7. It's one thing for them to get their yardage. They have skill talent. They've got plus skill talent. They've got a quarterback who can get it done, who can make all the throws. It'll just be a matter of, can they get stout in the red zone? Can they turn them over? That'll be a big thing too. Can they turn them over a couple of times? And with, again, the pressure that Michigan provides, that shouldn't be too hard. You look to get one each half, but ultimately it'll be a thing of disrupting their rhythm, kind of not allowing them to just kind of lean on the RPO game and then take something away from them. The easiest thing to take away would be the run for Michigan. So make them one dimensional, so they got to drop back and throw the ball 50 times. Forgot to mention this. Another part of the defense that's going to be key is the linebacker play, right? Like, eye discipline is going to be very key. I'm sure USC is going to use, do a lot of Lincoln Riley stuff. It's going to be a lot of motion. It's going to be a lot of misdirection, a lot of things for you to look at that don't take you to the ball. So Rolder, Hausman, Sullivan, and company really be keying in to where the ball is. See ball, get ball this game for sure. On the offensive side, I think there is a lot to be gained on the ground for this team. I think it never really changes with Lincoln Riley and this whole defensive thing. It doesn't matter who they put back there. It doesn't matter what they try to run in terms of scheme. It is the fact that they go so fast on offense. There are so many extra opportunities to catch them on the other side. Their defense has to play so many extra snaps because they are moving so quick on the other side of the ball. I think that's just kind of a fatal flaw of a Lincoln Riley team. I think it'll always kind of be like that. Kind of unfortunate, right? The guy's a quintessential quarterback whisperer, and excuse me, and has put some really good throwers in the league, but just don't know in terms of overall head coach if he's ever going to get the whole defensive thing down. Doesn't seem like it to this date, but nevertheless, I think the recipe is the same as it was last year. It's the exact same. It's take the air out of the ball. not like what we were doing against Oklahoma. Not to quote Biff Poggi, but run the rock, and that means everybody. That means the law firm and Haynes and Marshall, and that also means Bryce Underwood as well. Like everybody's running menu has to be on the table this game. Um, so yeah, man, this is one of them games I like to see him go try to get 300 yards. Now, in terms of the passing game, that when they're not they are not going to want what happened last year to happen to them again. So if it starts to feel that tilt, they will leverage hard, play action, play action, play action, play action. Get Donovan the McCulley the ball deep. I think he's proven he's a big play receiver. I think he will take advantage of those opportunities. I think if there's a 50-50 chance for him to come down with the ball, then it's favor us because he's really the only option that we have deep downfield or for deep big plays. Andrew Marsh is coming along. I've yet to see Jamar Browder. I think Marlon Klein's starting to get more healthy. Excuse me, but Donovan McCulley has been a consistent guy popping out, making big plays downfield, making wild plays. You got to continue to work him the ball, and that'll only continue to help Bryce and the offense the more that they prove that they can hit those. So this will be a game, I think, with the Anson Linton's system. They'll have some opportunities to hit some shots more so than in the first 5 weeks or so. Really want to take advantage of those shots when they present themselves because you will be able to catch teams trying to put 8 guys in the box. You absolutely will. You will catch teams rolling a safety down. You'll catch teams in odd looks that they're trying to disguise pressures in just so they can, match run fits. You got to hit them though. We got to take advantage of those. And it's not just on Bryce, it's also on the wide receivers, right? We have to catch the ball when we have the opportunity. It's no use to us to shuffle if we're going to keep dropping the ball. I expect Marsh's role to continue to grow as the season goes on. And hopefully they have Hogan Hansen back as well. So that'll add another, weapon to the repertoire. All in all, though, this is not one where you're looking to get 40 pass attempts. This is one you want to put their nose in the dirt as soon as you can. On the offensive line, thinking that you're going to get Giovanni Ahadi back. Sherrone Moore said this week that him and Hogan Hansen are most likely probable for the game on Saturday, so that's encouraging. So you got your starting left guard back. Who do they go back to on the right? Who do they elect to be their starting right guard? You got a couple different candidates. You got Brady Norton working his way back to healthy. He was the one who started the season. You got Jake Renera, who's been playing well. You got Nathan Afobe, who's been playing well. Yeah, you got guys. You got options there at right guard. Don't really know how you're going to differentiate between the three. Norton started, so I think he's at least going to get an opportunity to take his spot back. But then again, you've been getting good things out of both Grenera and Afobe. So flip a coin. I don't know if you're asking me. Afobe fits what we used to be in the running game. He's a little bit more traditional. He's a little bit more Zach Zinter, Trevor Keegan. And then, Gwenera and Norton are a little bit more akin to what we're doing in the running game now with the outside zone stuff, a little bit more fleet of foot, a little bit more nimble. Gwenera kind of gives you the best of both worlds. He's not a small guy, but he's more of a center than a guard. But he's, again, a little bit more athletic than Afobe at this point. So, Gwenera or Afobe for me. I like Brady Norton. I think the running game has taken strides while he's been out. And that's not to say that he was the problem while he was in. It's just that, the guys have continued to mesh. They have continued to kind of get a cohesiveness while he's been out. I would like it to be one of the guys who have been playing for the last three weeks or so. But that's just my mind. I think I don't know they're going to put the best one out there. Just gotta see who rises to the top. In terms of a prediction, It's tough. I don't want to be a homer and say that Michigan's going to travel all the way to Pasadena and get a dub. Um, get a dub on USC easily. But I do feel like the 2.5 points that Michigan, or excuse me, that USC is getting is a little bit of wishful thinking. You know, that's a game that could go either way on a neutral field. The way that I look at it is the team that should be able to stop the other team in the second half is more likely to win. If you're asking me to bet who that's going to be, I'm putting my money on Michigan. So let's get a close win on the road for Michigan. We'll go 28-24, and we'll see how that runs us. But as I said, we will be kicking off this weekend of college football on the big college football show at 11. Make sure you tune in to this channel, watch us there, like, share, subscribe. We'll have another one of these up next week.